If you feel as if there is nothing to see, then prove us wrong. Prove us wrong, because the last time that I checked, we were shut down as we were getting documents from his attorneys. So if you say that there's nothing there, then let's go ahead and have a hearing and an investigation and prove us. Show it to the American people that we don't have to be concerned that this incoming president has been paid off by the likes of people that don't like the American citizens that live in this country. Because last time I checked, he was palling around with Putin and he's loving on Xi Jinping. I mean, like, I don't know what you have to hide then. So in oversight, let's go ahead, Chairman, can we go ahead and get a hearing set up and an investigation just to prove us wrong? Because
would the lady yield?
Hold on, Mr. Chairman, because we lying, according to y'all. We lying. So prove us to be liars. I will sit here and I will be the first one to say, I apologize.
Let's talk about what Representative Melanie Stansbury brought to the table during this hearing. She introduced an amendment that honestly feels like common sense. Her idea was simple but powerful, bringing ethics back into the committee process. She wants to make sure that anyone interacting with this committee doesn't turn it into their personal money-making machine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, Madam Crockett. This is a common sense good government amendment. The entire purpose of this amendment is to bring standard ethics language into the committee process to make sure that anybody who is interacting with this committee does not use it or its resources for personal profit. It's basic ethics language. It does not infringe on speech. It does not prevent someone from appearing or advising the committee on general issues or classes of issues which are permissible under the rules and the ethics of the House of Representatives. But it would prevent someone from using the committee and federal resources for personal financial gain. And I want to read the text in the amendment that is really clear about this. It says that folks shall not advise the committee or its members in a paid or unpaid capacity or otherwise interact with the committee or subcommittee on any matter that would benefit the person financially or constitute a conflict of interest. This is not a violation of the Constitution or of free speech. Using federal resources to benefit your own financial interests is not protected speech. Unless, I was trying to figure out while we were on break what my colleagues are referring to. Maybe they're referring to the Citizens United case. Maybe they're referring to protecting the speech of campaign donations. Maybe they're referring to protecting the $250 million in donations that Elon Musk made to Donald Trump in his campaign, and that has given him access not only to the inner circle of Donald Trump's administration, but it's going to land him in office in the White House and pretty much unfettered access to this committee and its resources. So this amendment is designed to make sure he can come here, he can come testify, he can talk about issues that are general issues, but he cannot use this committee as a personal piggy bank to put forward an agenda that would personally profit him or others against the public interest. That is what this amendment is about. That is what we're trying to do, is to make sure that people do not use this committee for personal and private gains. Now, I'm dismayed that in the first organizing committee of this Congress, we can't even agree on the most basic ethical standards for how this committee is going to conduct itself. Language that appears in almost every single government agency, federal, state, local, tribal, also in the private sector. This is about protecting the public interest. This is about making sure that the goals that are supposedly laid out in this rule change that creates these two new subcommittees is really about achieving government efficiency and improvements. And it's about making sure that billionaires who buy their way into the inner circle of Donald Trump do not use this committee and its resources for their own financial gain.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but when I heard her say that, I had to pause. It's sad that we even need a rule like this. But when you look at how some people have used their positions for personal profit, you realize why it's necessary. This is about accountability and making sure the committee's work actually benefits the people, not someone's wallet. Now let's get into what Representative Marjorie Greene decided to bring up. Instead of focusing on ethics or the real issues at hand, she took a detour to talk about the California wildfires. Now, that alone could have been fine. Wildfires are a serious problem. But somehow, she used that moment to give a shout out to Elon Musk for sending Tesla trucks. Y'all, I couldn't believe it. Like, are we here to talk about committee work and accountability, or are we just handing out free PR for billionaires?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a lot of outrage today about my new subcommittee on DOGE. I want to say I'm honored. Thank you. You see, all the talk about billionaires. Let's talk about George Soros, who has donated hundreds of billions of dollars to Democrats, Democrat PACs, Democrat interests that ripped open our border, invaded our country, have had all types of policies that have directly impacted Americans in the worst ways possible. You know, Elon Musk used to be a Democrat. And I think the problem here is you guys are really jealous. And let's be brutally honest. It's your policies that have run off Democrats. You have run off your own donors. And you ran off the voters in this last election because of the absolute failures that you did to this country. So let's be really clear in what you're trying to do. You're attacking Elon Musk because you're really jealous. You are. You're just really jealous. And Elon Musk, I want to remind you guys, while California is on fire, he is directing his resources there with Tesla trucks and Starlinks to help people and victims that are being impacted right now by the failures of the Democrat leaders in California. No, it's not climate change that is burning down California. It is a failure of how to handle and prevent these types of problems. No water in the fire hydrants, no water in the water reservoirs, not cleaning up the forest floors. So let's be very clear about Democrat policies, Democrat decisions that have run off so many people. And let's talk about what you're trying to do is just attack someone that used to actually support your party and support your party no more. But let's really talk about this amendment. And it's not an attack on Elon Musk specifically, as it is an attack on Elon Musk and every single taxpayer in this country. It says, no person with a personal financial interest impacted by the decisions of the committee or any subcommittee thereof, including the newly created subcommittee on delivering on government efficiency, shall advise the committee or its members in a paid or unpaid capacity. Think about that. So you don't want taxpayers to have any say in what this subcommittee holds hearings on, talks about things that need to be funded or unfunded, departments that need to be shut down, union employees of the federal government that need to be fired, unions that need to be busted up, waste, fraud, and abuse. If this amendment were to pass, this amendment would directly violate the freedom of speech of taxpayers, of Americans, because this amendment says that no one can have any say to committee members or on the subcommittee of government efficiency. That's what this amendment says. And our job and our role is to serve the taxpayers, to serve the American people, to protect their freedom of speech, to uphold their interests, to protect how their taxpayer dollars are used. And so this is why this committee we can't consider having an amendment like this in our rules, because we'd be violating exactly what we are here to do. It's a complete waste of time. And Mr. Chairman, I oppose this amendment.
Now let's talk about how Representative Garcia responded to Marjorie Greene's comments. Honestly, he brought the heat, and rightfully so. He straight up called out how out of line her remarks were. He made it clear that the victims of the California wildfires deserve better. They deserve an apology. Garcia pointed out how Greene's comments weren't about helping the victims or addressing the real impact of the fires. Instead, she turned it into a political moment and a chance to shout out Elon Musk. That's just not right. People lost their homes, their communities, and even loved ones in those fires. The least they deserve is respect, not a detour into political grandstanding.
Lady yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Garcia.
Thank you. I just got to first. That was a lot. And first, I think the people of California and the West absolutely deserve an apology for politicizing fires that are actually killing people right now, and where people are losing their homes. And the idea that somehow you want to politicize those and say that those were caused by crazy conspiracy theories. I don't think anyone should take any advice on how fires are created. Certainly by someone that has said space lasers actually create forest fires. And so that deserves an apology to the people of California. And this idea that somehow Elon Musk is going to save us, the richest person on the planet, multiple times over, and that we're arguing about what he can do for this country when we're not actually bringing in people that are actually impacted by the policies of our friends on the other side of the aisle, I think is quite shameful. And the gentle lady from Georgia should apologize.
After calling out the nonsense, he introduced an amendment. His amendment was about keeping this committee focused on the people, not personal agendas. Garcia made it clear that this committee has a responsibility to stay grounded in facts and transparency. His amendment would ensure that the work being done here isn't just political theater, but actually benefits the folks who need it most. It's about accountability and making sure we're doing right by the people, not playing games or pushing personal interests.
An amendment to the rules of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform for the 119th Congress is offered by Mr. Garcia of California.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we are obviously all aware as a committee that the President of the United States should serve the American people, never their own financial interests. Yet we're facing some of the most serious conflicts of interest going into this administration in the history of our country. Now, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who are at least appearing to essentially be co-presidents in this next few years, are plotting to remake our government and our very social safety net. And they could get, of course, we know, richer in the process. Now, this amendment will make sure that we don't advance any legislation from this committee that enriches Donald Trump or his businesses. And unfortunately, as we know, because of the work of this committee and House Democrats, this legislation could not be more important, because we know and we saw Donald Trump trying to enrich himself and his family in his first term. Now, we know that committee Democrats showed that Donald Trump received payments from over 20 countries during his first term. 20 countries. Donald Trump's network of businesses made it possible for anyone in the world to funnel money to him through his businesses. Now, these countries, of course, included China, Saudi Arabia, and many others. Now, we actually have, because of this committee, receipts and documents that prove that he received at least $7.8 million directly from foreign governments. And by the way, that number is much larger, but of course we don't have all the documents and receipts because this committee's majority blocked us from getting all of them. We also know that 8 ambassadors stayed at President Trump's D.C. hotel at the time while serving in the office of the Trump administration in clear violation of the Constitution. The committee also found that Elliot Brody, a Republican fundraiser and lobbyist, spent $15,000 at Trump's D.C. hotel while actually lobbying the Trump administration. Later, he received a pardon, which we know that Donald Trump and his administration like to give out to people that donated to him. And we know that that, of course, is a clear violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Now, we should all be concerned that this lobbying effort signifies a pay-to-pay scheme that capitalizes on President Trump's influence. And these conflicts of interest are a direct threat and a national security threat. Of course, this is on top of the fact this committee continues to refuses to investigate Jared Kushner, who received $2 billion with a B directly from Saudi Arabia just months after leaving the White House, and has used that power to facilitate record arms deals and other pro-Saudi policies. As he enters his second term, this amendment is incredibly important so that we can ensure that Donald Trump isn't directly benefiting through his businesses by foreign governments and other people that are interested. Once again, this amendment would ensure that we work through this committee to ensure the president does not directly benefit. I urge all of my colleagues to support this common sense amendment.
Chair recognizes Ms. Stansbury.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, notwithstanding these beautiful love letters and campaign ads to Donald Trump, this committee has examined a multitude of thousands of pages of evidence and receipts that show that Donald Trump did actually take foreign money through and launder through his hotels and properties. And I know we got some new members on the committee, but we're happy to provide that documentation to you as well. But with that, I'd like to yield the remainder of my time to Mr. Garcia.
Thank you. I think it's comical to say that Donald Trump didn't take a salary when he and his family benefited in the billions of dollars from peddling influence to foreign governments. This has actually been documented. The receipts were presented through this committee from multiple countries, and the fact that your son-in-law, who was, by the way, advised to not serve as an envoy by the Secretary of State at the time of Donald Trump, could come in and make $2 billion months after leaving the White House by the Saudi government, of which, by the way, he has not returned any sort of investment to the country on, and him being the envoy to the Middle East while he was in the White House, is absolutely corrupt. And the president's salary is nothing compared to what he and his family have received in the billions of dollars through their foreign peddling and corruption in the White House. I'll yield back. I actually yield to Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much. Listen, if y'all really believe this, I will do this in a very diplomatic, bipartisan way. We are sitting in the proper committee that can do the investigation. If you feel as if there is nothing to see, then prove us wrong. Prove us wrong, because the last time that I checked, we were shut down as we were getting documents from his attorneys. So if you say that there's nothing there, then let's go ahead and have a hearing and an investigation and prove us. Show it to the American people that we don't have to be concerned that this incoming president has been paid off by the likes of people that don't like the American citizens that live in this country. Because last time I checked, he was palling around with Putin and he's loving on Xi Jinping. I mean, like, I don't know what you have to hide then. So in oversight, let's go ahead, Chairman, can we go ahead and get a hearing set up and an investigation just to prove us wrong?
Would the lady yield?
Hold on, Mr. Chairman, because we lying, according to y'all. We lying. So prove us to be liars. I will sit here and I will be the first one to say, I apologize. So let's go ahead and do it. Will you do that, Mr. Chairman?
Let me ask, will the lady yield a question?
I will absolutely yield the question.
So you're suggesting that we investigate Donald Trump?
Yes, because y'all saying that we lied about him.
My question is, have there ever been any other investigations of Donald Trump? Have there been any? I mean,
yes, there have been.
I mean, it just seems like he's
he
the
had a
most
couple
investigated
impeachments,
person
too.
in the world. And look, I love this newfound concern for ethics by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. This is rich, to be honest with you, especially when you were talking about violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. I think Mr. Garcia, Mr. Frost, one mentioned, and things like that. So, you know, I think there's a lot of interesting things coming that I haven't heard over the past 2 years. So, look.
So, Mr. Chairman, is that a yes or no that y'all gonna prove us wrong?
Ms. Crockett, there have been so many investigations of Donald Trump. You have weaponized. I would argue, and I think the American people would agree, that the judiciary has been weaponized, that the man has had so many investigations.
But, Mr. Chair, if you were the one that's conducting it, we know that he trusts you.
You're
a
wanting
good
to
Republican.
investigate him, and he hasn't even been sworn in yet.
Okay, well, we can wait a few more days. That's only on Monday, and we can get started. I just want y'all to prove us wrong, because
I think the American people are concerned about their tax dollars being flushed down the commode.
I think they're also concerned about foreign influence upon
foreign
the highest
influence.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't they be? That is something that would fall under our purview in this committee. And Mr. Chairman,
with all due respect, ma'am, you weren't concerned about $27 million of foreign influence that was laundered. Now, Ms. Stansbury, laundered, we can debate on the term of laundering. I don't think you understand what laundering means.
You yield.
But no, because this is Ms. Crockett's time, and it's about to
I will go
expire.
ahead and yield to Ms. Stansbury then.
She's got 10 seconds.
All right. Well, Mr. Chairman, this is a bit absurd, but you know, it's very clear this committee did investigate. Donald Trump did launder his
Time's
money
expired.
through
Any
his
further members seek
hotels,
recognition?
and we will provide the
Mr. Chair.
report which you suppressed. Thank you.
Crockett wasn't just talking. She was standing up for the kind of transparency this committee claims to care about. It's a simple concept. If there's no wrongdoing, then an investigation shouldn't be an issue. But we all know when folks start dodging, it makes you wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. And that's a wrap on his hearing today. From Representative Stansbury pushing for ethics, to Representative Garcia calling out nonsense and taking real action, and of course Representative Jasmine Crockett demanding transparency. We saw some powerful moments in this hearing. These are the kinds of voices we need fighting for accountability and the people. Thank you for watching, and remember to stay woke. See you in the next one.